this life brings. Girls and gold and gambling, the things you shouldn't want the most. Live here on the Barbary Coast. The best bad things are not free. Show me your gold, just follow me. The best bad things have a fee. Give me the gold, then follow me. The best bad things that this life brings. Champagne, feathers, diamond rings. The things that we all want the most are found here on the Barbary Coast. The best bad things are not free. Show me your gold, just follow me. The best bad things have a fee. Give me the gold, then follow me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first live stream event on the new Best Bad Things YouTube channel. A special welcome and thank you to our sisters who were out there marching in the streets today. I'm Candace Forrest, a composer, musician, and founding member of the Wild Women Collaborative. We're ready to give you a sneak peek at our new show, The Best Bad Things, original songs and true stories of the brave, bold women in San Francisco history. We're also launching our new website, bestbadthingssf.com. Right now, though, I'd like you to meet the rest of the Wild Women.
Hey.
Hello.
Woohoo!
Hello, I'm Allison Lovejoy, and thank you for joining us today. I'm a classical pianist, composer, educator, and now an SF historian. I've lived and worked here for 30 years in San Francisco as a musician, and I found this exploration of great women in this city's history to be a revealing and exciting journey. It's a delight and honor to be here and to be a part of this collaboration with these amazing, talented women. And I want to thank Candace Forrest for bringing us together to develop her brilliant idea. Enjoy the show, and we look forward to sharing more music and stories with you soon.
Hello, I'm Beth Wilmurt, local gal, born and raised here in the Bay Area and been tooling around in the Bay Area for about a half a century. Whoa, heavily involved in the performing arts. I'm singer, actor, mover, maker, director, arts educator, and I'm very, very passionate about the arts. Therefore, I've been following Allison and Candy for years. I've been hanging out with them. I've been listening to their songs. I've been singing their songs. I've had my students sing their songs. And that is why I'm so excited to kind of to share their songs with you. And I'm a big cheerleader. And I wanted to give a quick shout out to Community Music Center, where I met these wonderful women 20 years ago. It's actually the 100th year anniversary of this music school, and it was founded by a woman. So I just wanted to throw that in the mix. And really, I was thinking a lot about what it is about women in music, and I'm really fascinated by the weird magic that happens when a song emerges, and that's kind of what I'm here to experience and what I get out of these wonderful women. Thank you.
Hey everybody, thank you, Beth. And I'm Lua Hadar. Like all the wild women, I'm a multidisciplinary performing artist, a singer, songwriter, MC, actor, writer, director, and accidental film producer. I was drawn to this project. Well, of course, I've had worked with Candace Forrest on many other projects as well, but I was lured, like we all were, with meatloaf and mashed potatoes into Candy's kitchen, and by the sheer talent and capability of the wild women themselves. I learned about the material as we went along. I'm a little New York kid, so, you know, we didn't learn about all these California women when I was in school, but I'm really enjoying the historical research and the discovery of all these amazing women. The project has evolved during the last decade. And, you know, it's been a time when we've seen our country change so much. But the silver lining of this shelter in place time has been that after 10 years of working together and evolving this material, we're able to bring some of it to you right now. Have a good time tonight. Here's Natalie.
I'm Natalie Greene. I'm primarily a choreographer and director. I was also drawn in by the delicious food at Candy's house, particularly the chicken soup and the homemade pie. We had some great poker games. While I originally came for the delicious home-cooked food, I stayed for the conversation because we've always had really rich and vivacious conversations about the wild women of San Francisco's past and the resonance that those stories have with the women of San Francisco's present. While it's remarkable that the conditions have changed quite a lot, the qualities that it takes for a woman to succeed in San Francisco have not changed that much. For a woman to succeed on her own, there are many qualities and personality traits that kind of like help us make it in this city as artists, as activists, as thinkers, as independent women. And telling these stories with these women has been a favorite pastime of mine for many years. And I'm going to pass it back to Candy to tell us more about what's happening tonight.
Wonderful. Well, we, in the Best Bad Things, we profile nearly 20 fantastic women. So we can't show them all to you tonight. We've organized the party into 4 conversations. And so I think you ought to top up your glass and we should get started.
To the Bella Union Melodeon with a constantly varied entertainment. As for the program, it's enough to make a blind man see. The show is not for the kindergarten class, but just your size. You will find plain talk and beautiful girls. Really girly girls, replete with fun and frolic, abounding in music and dance, unique for grace and beauty. Dramatic terpsichorean and musical talent will appear, perfect for affording laughter for millions. A melodeon of the people, unapproachable, beyond competition. If you don't want to risk both optics, shut one eye.
Oh, that was a great show. I love the character that Candy plays in that piece and also the musical environment that Allison has created for the Bella Union Melodeon. I'm curious, Allison, can you tell us a little bit more about that character and the scene that you're setting with the music?
Yes. The Natalie, hi Natalie, the Barker is a character that announced the shows and loudly yelled to people on the streets and invited them in. And the text from that Barker speech is taken from an actual broadside in which he loudly announced musical and variety acts, novelties, and all of the performances that were going on.
So one of our favorite performers from the Bella Union Melodeon was Big Bertha Heyman. Big Bertha was also known as the Queen of Confidence. The San Francisco Chronicle described her as 40 years of age, decidedly ugly, and 250 pounds. Which would be politically incorrect to say today, not to mention misogynistic and fat-phobic and downright rude. But I also think there's something remarkable in there that they're speaking to how uncommon it was for a woman who was not traditionally beautiful and not necessarily talented to have made it so far, to become rich, to become famous, to become notorious. She was also a little bit of a criminal, which Allison will tell us more about. But I just want to share, one of the things I love about Big Bertha is that she was so confident, so smart, and so fearless. She didn't care what anybody thought. And these are some qualities that maybe people did not appreciate in women at that time, but hell yeah, we appreciate them today. Allison, will you tell us more about Big Bertha?
Oh, sure. First of all, to understand why she had such popularity, it's important to know about the Bella Union Theater. The Melodeon is a performance venue that was founded in 1849 as a gambling house. And it went on to become a performance theater where there were vaudevilles and variety acts and novelties, attractive female dancers, and also highbrow artists such as Elisa Biscaccianti, the opera singer, Lotta Crabtree, the dancer, and Lola Montez, who we'll later see. And it speaks to the diverse range of culture that's always been embraced in San Francisco. The city's always invited artistic freedom and performance. In the 1800s, the city and the Bella Union Melodeon were a destination on performers' tours. And Bertha Heyman addressed the owners of the Bella Union after years of being a female con artist. When she came here in the 80s, in the 1880s, that is, she was already known as one of the greatest confidence queens. She would take men's money and invite them to contribute or to invest in a scam where she would supposedly double their money. When she moved to San Francisco, she said she needed a man to help her guard her fortune. Well, this type of scam artist could only go so far without being caught by the NYPD. But when she was released, she came here to the San Francisco venue, the Bella Union Melodeon, and exaggerated somewhat her story about her innocence and also about her intelligence. And you're right, she was at one point a con artist and became somewhat of a performance artist in a way by telling her story to people, charging money, 10 cents a ticket for this story, and embellishing her activities and highlighting the fact that she was taking advantage of the greed of many men who during the gold rush era had no shame in trying to make money and make it rich quick. So she boasted that she skinned the hides of greedy suitors because it ministered to her intellectual pride. You'll hear that lyric in the song, as well as many other quotes from Bertha in her monologue.
One of my favorite Big Bertha stories was her rendition at the Bella Union Melodeon of Romeo and Juliet. Allison, can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Oh, it's really great. You know, she achieved popularity telling her story as a confidence queen, and then she moved to singing in a squeaky voice. She knew 2 songs she was known for, and then she moved to acting, in which she played Juliet in Romeo and Juliet opposite of the well-known character actor Oofty Goofty, who was an unusual person who had a defect that allowed him to be beaten wildly by people who paid for it and not feel any pain. Well, they performed Romeo and Juliet at the Bella Union Theater, and at 280 pounds, she wasn't suited for the climb into the balcony in the balcony scene, so she would stand below him. And after the shows, it was said that he would give her bruises from head to toe every night, leading her to vow never to play that part again.
I also really love how you, Allison, brought bits of Bertha's story and bits of Bertha's character into the music. So I'm thinking I will make my video disappear and we'll ask you to play some music. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Natalie. In the beginning of Big Bertha, I introduce her with a rhythm coming out of the Bella Union chorus, in which you can feel her ungainliness as a dancer and this asymmetrical meter coming along with lots of accents. She sings an impossible melody and boasts during the monologue about her great skill as a confidence queen. I hope you enjoy it.
Love that. Bertha. Well, this is a story of Donaldina Cameron, a story of radical empathy.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's 1870 San Francisco, about 20 years after the gold rush.
There was recession and racism.
Yes, and anti-Chinese immigration laws.
And there was violence.
So slavery was outlawed in 1865 by the 13th Amendment, but another type of slavery exploded in California.
The trafficking of women from China to the West Coast. See, here's the situation. Most Chinese women could not legally immigrate. There were 10 Chinese men for every one Chinese woman on the streets of San Francisco. There were laws against intermarriage between races, anti-miscegenation laws, like in the Jim Crow South.
So it was against the law for the Chinese men to marry someone who was not Chinese, but most Chinese women could not legally immigrate. So that was the perfect market for human trafficking.
Exactly. And of course, there were corrupt officials who played ball with organized crime. What a shock.
Violent gangs that bankrolled the brothels.
Yeah, young girls were tricked or even sold outright by their families in China.
Boys value more than girls.
We have too many mouths to feed.
So what's happening is these girls are lured to America with a promise of husbands and education.
And instead, they're sold at auction on the wharf of San Francisco, sold into prostitution. Even little girls, sold as domestic slaves, mui tsai.
So this is where Donaldina Cameron comes in.
There was the Occidental Mission Home for Girls, Chinatown, San Francisco. Now, this later became Donaldina Cameron House, founded by missionary wives.
So these are middle-class white women who had no power in the 1870s. They couldn't vote. Their husbands and fathers dominated them.
But these women could exercise their power to found a home, to provide refuge for girls and women trafficked into sex slavery or prostitution. And yes, to share their Christian faith, but it was an act of radical empathy.
To care about a group of people scorned.
To offer a sanctuary.
This is a story of women standing up for other women. Donaldina Cameron was Fan Kwai. They called her the White Devil.
The Jesus Woman.
Chinatown's angry angel. But she rescued almost 3,000 girls. How did she do it? Let's set the scene again. The art of rescue.
Brothels hidden behind trapdoors.
An axe breaks through the door.
A chase over rooftops.
And down dark alleys.
Don't go to the White Devil's house at 920 Sacramento Street.
The food is poisoned.
She eats babies.
Cameron's life was constantly at risk.
Yes, and at that time, there were no child welfare laws.
She stood up to unscrupulous white lawyers.
The girls called her Lomo, Old Mother. They studied Bible, also English and Chinese, and sewing and cooking.
Chinese girls in San Francisco were not usually educated during those times, so this was very important.
The mission home became a jumping off place for women to carry on with their education, career, even marriage in safety.
So this is a feminist story.
Women standing up for other women.
So you have been listening to Allison's music, and she begins this tribute to Donaldina, which she calls the art of rescue in a very powerful way.
Bill of sale, 1898. Lu Wang to Lu Chi. Rice, 6 mats, $12. Shrimps, 50 pounds, $5. Girl, $250. Saltfish, 60 pounds, $6.
Wow, it is very powerful, just the hard statistics.
What strikes me, is that 150 years after Donaldina Cameron fought for the rights of young women, it feels like nothing has changed. There were stats released last week by the UN. Listen to this. 29 million girls and women are victims of slavery. 1 in every 130 women and girls is living in modern slavery today. That's like more than the population of Australia. 99% of all victims of forced sexual exploitation are women and girls. And the deep racism of young immigrant women held at our US border being forced into hysterectomies so that they can no longer become pregnant. I'm telling you, people like Donaldina are so needed, and they're out there fighting abuse and modern day slavery. And that is why I am so taken with her story. She was a true crusader.
Yes, and Lewis, speaking of true crusaders, we've dedicated this to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and you sent me this little bit of text, and it really got me. Women, if you have a credit card in your own name and your own credit history, if you have leased an apartment or bought property in your own name, if you have consented to your own medical treatment, if you have played a sport in school, you can thank Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So let's get inspired by these women and their stories.
I am. Thank you. Good to chat with you, Beth.
Great to chat with you, Lua. Carry on.
In truth, we could have written an entire musical about Alma Spreckels. In my song, Big Alma Knew, you just catch a glimpse of this beautiful, larger-than-life woman. Born in 1881 to dirt-poor immigrant parents, she was christened Alma Emma Charlotte Corday Lenormand de Bretteville in honor of her French ancestors. It was a name she would grow into. She would eventually build the Palace of the Legion of Honor to house her private collection of Rodin. But it all started at the Mark Hopkins Institute of Art, where Alma was studying portrait painting. To pay for her classes, she became a model. Big Alma had a face the artist loved to paint. Big Alma had a heart of gold. She wasn't dainty, she certainly wasn't quaint. When Alma got ideas, they were big and bold. She was a gal who always knew how to get what she wanted. Alma always said, if you got it, flaunt it. Big Alma knew. She knew how to live large. She really knew it. Knew just how to do it. Alma loved to live large. Alma broke through the upper crust of San Francisco society when she was chosen to model for the Dewey McKinley Monument in Union Square. The man behind that project was Adolph Spreckels, heir to a huge sugar fortune and probably the most eligible bachelor in town. He took a shine to the girl on top of the monument and began to court her. And 6 years later, they were secretly married. So musically now, we meet the catty chorus, or as I like to call them, the disappointed debutantes who had nothing good to say about Mrs. Spreckels. If her great-granddaddy was a French aristocrat, I'll eat both our hats. Don't tell me Adolph Spreckels married that trollop, the one on top of the Dewey Monument. Legion of Honor, my Aunt Fanny. She'd be nothing without her sugar daddy. She'll never be one of us. She swims in the nude, smokes like a chimney, swears like a sailor, and drinks like a fish. Oh. She was a beauty, nearly 6 feet tall, and every inch determined to fulfill her destiny. That's Big Alma. Alma, to her dying day, was giving things away to her family, to her friends, and to her beloved city. San Francisco's queen of culture, Alma led the way. Alma knew just what she wanted, never wavered, stood undaunted, got her palace built up on that hill. Alma knew how to live large.
Aw, thanks, Candy, and thanks, Big Alma. Another woman who knew how to live large that I am personally really fascinated with is Lola Montez. So Lola Montez was originally from Ireland, but she lived all over the world. In fact, if you went to school in Europe or in Australia, you might have read about Lola Montez in your history books. She's a little more obscure in the history of California, but she had a strong presence here eventually. She was not originally born Lola Montez, but she reinvented herself as Lola Montez, the Spanish dancer, while she was on tour dancing throughout Europe, where she also took many notable lovers, including Franz Liszt, Alexandre Dumas, and King Ludwig of Bavaria, who named her the Countess of Landsfeld. And for the year that she was there, she exercised a lot of political power in King Ludwig's court. Eventually, she was run out of town for her incredible favor and influence on the king. When she made her way to the United States, she performed all over, again as Lola Montez, the Spanish dancer. And when she was in San Francisco, she too performed at the Bella Union Melodeon, but she much preferred up north and settled for a few years in Grass Valley. Now, it's important to note when she left San Francisco, she left a change in the city, and there was a great hole to be filled by her absence. She had been performing the Tarantella dance. I'll tell you in a moment about that dance. But when she left San Francisco, there were then a slew of performers whose careers were made by impersonating Lola Montez. In fact, Caroline Chapman was the most famous Lola Montez impersonator. And it's possible that Caroline Chapman was more talented than Lola Montez, but not nearly as notorious. So Lola then up in Grass Valley had a pet bear and continued to be one of the most forward-thinking liberal women, highly influential in politics and culture, even the local scale. And I would say that her influence lived on in the generations of performers in San Francisco. She came across a young Lotta Crabtree, who she trained and taught a few dance moves to, and also perhaps taught how to make something out of nothing and just have a big enough personality that it didn't matter what you did on the stage, people would love you no matter what. The Tarantella. So I had the privilege of dancing this Tarantella, or bringing Lola Montez to life through this short dance piece. And just to go back a little ways, the Tarantella, originally an Italian folk dance that was said to cure the venom of poisonous spider bites. So if you danced into a frenzy, you could sweat out the spider bite venom and be cured. Lola Montez's Tarantella also involved her taking off clothes. So from a dance ethnology standpoint, she was doing a burlesque of a folk dance. And what I found most interesting about embodying it is that, you know, it's possible to work yourself up into a frenzy. And I very much enjoyed trying to bring some of Lola's spirit back. Although I have to admit, Lola was known as being incredibly voluptuous, and I'm not as naturally well endowed as Lola Montez. I did my best. I also want to do a special shout out to our technical director, Gabe Armstrong, who helped me make this short dance film. And an extra special shout out to Allison Lovejoy for writing this beautiful piece of music to embody the Lola Montez Tarantella. Enjoy.
Allison. That was great. I love the Tarantella.
Oh, that's super fun. She did such a beautiful choreography, and Gabe's work is amazing.
Really fun video. So next up we have Dorothea Lange. I was so excited. She's kind of, you've written so many songs about so many women, and then Dorothea Lange really kind of, I don't know, it was fun to hear that you were inspired and you wrote something. I was thinking about Dorothea Lange, and I realized that I don't really know anything about her. I have never gone down a Dorothea Lange rabbit hole as far as like facts about Dorothea Lange. In some ways, I felt like I know her work. It's like it's in the zeitgeist. It feels like it's almost in my bones. I've been looking at it my whole life. And I feel like I know her through her work. So in some ways, as weird as it sounds, I've never even really been curious until you have gone down your own rabbit hole. And now I'm so excited to hear, get a bigger picture of who this woman was. But yeah, her art and her, who she is and her art felt completely connected to me.
It's very true. She's very committed to her work. And most of us are familiar with her iconic pieces, The Migrant Mother and The White Angel Breadline. And after seeing several exhibits, including the great one at the Oakland Museum, Candace and I saw an exhibit of the Japanese Americans that she photographed during the war relocation program in the 1940s, a very, very disturbing movement, which was secret until recently. We saw these pictures at the Museum of Courage in San Francisco's Presidio, and we were determined that day that she would be a part of this show. Now we've gone from madams and heroines and performers to include artists and civil rights leaders and these remarkable women like Dorothea Lange, who started out in San Francisco as a photographer.
I didn't know that. Yeah, San Francisco.
I had no idea either. She came on a trip with a friend, and they were actually mugged. She was robbed of everything. So she was forced to stay here and make some money. And she started a photography studio for the elite, for the upper crust. And ironically, after she married Maynard Dixon, the painter, and began to photograph for the federal organization called the WPA, she was actually taking photos of the struggling and the poor in America. And right now we see a lot of this poverty and this heartbreaking imbalance in America and in San Francisco on the streets. And she saw this through her work, and her pieces are so powerful. I think I've held them dearly for all my life until I learned about her and how she got this opportunity to do this work.
Wow. Yeah. So interesting. And when you chose Dorothea Lange, I was also thinking about like photography as an art form. And it's not one I'm as familiar with, but I was thinking about, the difference between maybe a photograph and a play or a piece of music. But I was really struck by, the simple like math of a photograph. Like basically they have to just capture a very precise moment. And that's just this tiny little increment. But then if they capture it, it affords us so much time to dwell. And, I was just thinking about that tiny moment, and then the profundity and the of the huge amount of time that we spend just thinking about it and looking at it and gaining things.
Yeah, it's remarkable how she could capture a moment in time. And she would wait for a moment to stand still, for time to stand still, and yet reveal a lifetime of experience in that photo, which we can share. And in that she captures the pain, the dignity, the struggle, and the beauty of the Americans who traveled here to the West to work on farms, and also just faces and souls. She seems to capture them so beautifully. And she created a dialogue with her subjects too. They trusted her. And she had polio, and a lot of us didn't know that. And she struggled with moving it sometimes, but she traveled extensively. And I think that her natural ability to connect with humans in their story enabled her to write really beautiful captions that they helped her, they shared with her, in which her stories reveal so much about what their experience was.
Yeah, really wonderful. She just created this one-to-one kind of intimate relationship with all her subjects. I felt a very kind of one-to-one relationship with your song as I sang it and thought about the moment in time. And it was, thank you for letting me sing it. And
Thank you.
I'm excited to share it.
Beautifully. It's
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you. Anything else about Dorothea Lange before we share the song?
Well, a lot of the lyric in this song is taken from her quotes about creative process. A lot of the lyrics in this show come from the actual mouths of the women or articles about them. And Candace and I watched a documentary about her in which she speaks. And most of the lines in this song come from her inspiration, wishing to grab a hunk of lightning, waiting for time to stand still. And her line that says, art is an act of total attention, really reminds me and speaks to my artistic process, in which all other things go by the wayside when you're creating. But for that moment is so precious and valuable, you have to hold it.
I love it.
Well, a big thanks to you for singing it, and to Dean Marmel for making this beautiful, this video of wonderful Dorothea images. I hope you enjoy, and once again, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Allison.
There are moments when time stands still. You hope that it will wait for you. Take an instant out of time, alter life by holding it still. Look at it, it's a miracle that it comes at the right time. I am trying to see if I can get lost again. I am waiting to see if I can grab a hunk of lightning. Take an instant out of time, alter life by holding it still. Look at it, it's a miracle that it comes at the right time. Art is an act of total attention. Beauty appears when one feels deeply, an act of creation, not recognition. This is the way it is. This is the way it is.
Wow.
We want to thank you all for being here and for your support, and special thanks to Gabe Armstrong, our fantastic technical director.
Oh, cheers, Gabe.
Woo! You Gabe!
We also invite you to visit our really terrific new website designed by Ian Dogel, bestbadthingssf.com. You're going to find all the news about the many women that we're writing about and a little bit more about us. And we welcome your participation and we really appreciate your support.
We're going to have another event in February called Nobody's Valentine. We hope you join us then. And if you'd like to help make Nobody's Valentine happen, please consider donating to the PayPal and supporting our historical and musical work. Like and subscribe.
Please keep the determination of Ruth Bader Ginsburg in your heart and get everyone you know to vote, please.
Yes. And now we have one more little bonbon for you.
Yes, we do. And remember the words of the late, great Madam Sally Stanford. If you're being run out of town, get to the front of the crowd and make it a parade.
Cheers.
My girls live in style and luxury. They save you all from your drudgery. Forget the law, we paid the judgery. Nothing succeeds like excess. Excess is the key to success. Pour more champagne, fill my glass. Moderation is a fatal thing. Excess, success, excess, success, excess, success, excess, success. If you don't like what you see, I've got girls of every variety. Nothing succeeds like excess. Excess is the key to success.